This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.
Well, you can never talk to enough legends here on the Extra Point podcast. The Legends Luncheon for Arizona State is coming up on November 14th, so let's talk to a legend here in studio. Bob Kohrs, chased down quarterbacks for so many years for the Sun Devils, wearing his maroon and gold, one of the legends himself. And just to be, you live back here, you had the football career that started at Arizona State, started at Brophy, went to Arizona State, went to the Steelers. What's it mean for you to represent the Sun Devils?
I've been a Sun Devil. I've been told I was at one of the first games in Sun Devil Stadium in 1958 as an infant. So wow. I've been going to Sun Devil Stadium for a long, long time. Mountain America Stadium now at Frank Kush Field. But it meant everything to be a Sun Devil. I always wanted to be one, and it just worked out for me, and I'm just very fortunate for the opportunity.
So 30 sacks, I think, was the final number as a Sun Devil. Describe, for people who maybe didn't see your game, and we're going to go try to dig in the archives and find some of those 30 sacks. How would you describe the way you played the game?
I loved being on the field. It was, I remember Darryl Gill, he was a strong safety. Was a year older than me, and he says, "God darn, Kohrs, every time you turn around, you always got a big smile on your face." And you know, it was just a pleasure, and just I was always happy, and it was just a great time to be a Sun Devil.
And you were there for 2 of the WAC years, and then made the transition to the Pac. How much do you feel, and does your kind of group feel responsible for kind of laying the groundwork for where the thing would go?
Well, the groundwork was obviously laid years and years before me. And again, it's great to be a part of it. But we had some pretty big wins early, right away, in the Pac-10. So yeah, I think people were kind of concerned, are we going to be able to survive? Are we going to be the joke of the conference? But, we let people know right away that we were here to play, and if you were going to play the Sun Devils, you better be prepared.
Well, I still can't get over the Pac-12 dissolving. It's just still one of those things that just defies explanation. Sometimes I just think it didn't really happen, and we'll wake up one day. And maybe it will get back together at some point. But take us back to when Arizona State made the switch. What was some of the reaction from, say, the Los Angeles schools about Arizona and Arizona State joining? What were some of the things you heard?
Well, I'm not real sure that I even heard anything.
You weren't on Twitter back then?
No. We were just concerned about getting through our next practice with Coach Kush. He made sure that we were occupied and we didn't have time to think of those types of things. We had to be ready for him first.
So what was a Coach Kush practice like from start to finish? And how did it start like first day you take the field, go up the hill to Tonazona, and then, Wildcat week? Sorry, am I allowed to say Wildcats in front of you? I don't even know. Some people say don't say that name.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. I don't think much of them, so you can call them anything you want. Well, going up to Tonazona, as a freshman, you've got butterflies in your stomach. You hear a lot of things, and it's a tough camp, and you go up there, and it is kind of primitive, an open bunkhouse with a bunch of, young kids in there, and 3 practices a day, and you hit in 2 of them, and if you were unlucky, sometimes even the middle one you put pads on, but fortunately most of the time we just went out in shorts and T-shirts for that middle practice. But no, we scrimmaged every day. We scrimmaged all practice long in individual drills. It was tough. It separated some people up at Tonazona. There were days that you would wake up the next morning and the bunk next to you was empty. Someone left during the middle of the night and hitchhiked back to the valley. But it prepared us for a season, and when you played games on Saturday night, I know now why I had a smile on my face. It was fun because you had to suffer through a whole week to get there.
How much hitting would you do during the season? Because there's
we hit every day except for the day before games and on Monday if we were lucky. Sometimes we put on pads, Monday through Thursday. And Thursday, the last practice in pads always ended in goal line scrimmage, where the first team offense would go against the first team defense for 4 plays, and then the second team would get the crack at it. Then you'd go back to the first team for 4 more plays, and everyone was live, quarterbacks included. And it was a big deal. I mean, that's when all the press came out. Goal line scrimmage, the offensive coaches going after the defensive coaches, and offensive players taunting defensive players, and vice versa. And we hit.
Interesting. Well, you hear coaches. I mean, and the thought is maybe there's just so much money involved now. It's like you can't hit. Like you go to an NFL training camp. I'd love to know what the Steelers training camp was like, if it was tougher. But there's the wisdom now in the NFL and in college is you don't want to get guys hurt. But how much did that callous you and toughen you up for what was to come?
I can't imagine not going through a week of football practice without scrimmaging of some sort, because you just can't prepare. And the object is to get better every week. And I can't imagine doing that without doing the real thing, hitting each other. Now I can understand quarterbacks being off limits.
Could you hit the quarterback back then?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
In the scrimmage?
In scrimmages. Oh, quarterbacks were live. Yeah, there were no red jerseys or anything like that. And I remember Fred Mortensen, they ran a lot of options back then. He had bruised ribs, and he just said, God, I remember seeing you, and I knew that you wouldn't hit me. and I said, Fred, there was no way I could hit you. So
you needed your quarterback on Saturday, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely did. But other players didn't see it that way. They were trying to win positions, and if quarterback was live, you hit him. And I'd wrap them up. Some running backs, too, would take it easy on. But they got hit all the time. We had a running back, Turtle Lane, that one day decided to come out with just shorts and shoulder pads on. He was considered himself hurt. Frank put him right into the scrimmage and
in shorts
and called his play, and it was funny at the time because the quarterback got what used to be my roommate John Fauch audibled, and Frank went crazy, and he just said, "Defense, we're running this play, go!" And Turtle actually broke a couple tackles and ran for a touchdown. So.
And did he go back in the locker room and put on football pants?
No,
guys don't even wear football pants anymore.
No,
even in games.
He played the whole practice in shorts.
Wow.
So, and he scrimmaged.
Hey, I mean, they don't make them like that anymore. How did Sun Devil practices compare with Pittsburgh Steelers practices?
Pittsburgh Steelers, that was, they did the same thing. They hit, of course, quarterbacks. You didn't touch quarterback. Terry Bradshaw was there when I was there. Quarterbacks weren't live, and you wrapped up running backs. But we hit Oklahoma drill is the first drill that we did up at training camp. And, of course, my first Oklahoma drill was against Mike Webster.
Oh, my goodness.
So, yeah.
How'd that go?
Well, I jumped off sides and hit him. It was funny. Mark Malone was the quarterback. And so I jumped up and hit him, and he kind of gave me a disgusting look and, do it again. And Mark goes, what count? And Webby looked around and said, it doesn't matter. But he had hydraulics for arms. He just would hit you and boom, boom, and just move you.
So what was it like walking in that locker room, the steel curtain and the team of the 70s? What you got there in 81?
I got there in 1980.
80, okay.
The year after their last Super Bowl was January of 80, and I was drafted in March or April.
So how did the draft work?
There.
Like, were you on campus at ASU, or what was the?
No, I was at my parents' house, actually at my future father-in-law's house, and we were watching it on TV, and they had my parents' number, so I think they were trying to get a hold of me, and they couldn't. So we're just watching it, and Pittsburgh had the 7th pick in the second round, and all of a sudden my name gets called, and I'm like going, God, I'm going to the Super Bowl champions. Wow. And then the way it worked there, the first day of training camp, you reported for lunch. And anyone that was injured the prior year had to report with the rookies. And Jack Ham 9, 10-time Pro Bowler, and Mike Wagner, who was also a Pro Bowler. They were hurt at the end of the year, so they had to go to training camp with rookies.
Oh, wow.
So we kind of got the awe out of our system, we thought, the first week by, Jack Ham and Mike Wagner being there. But, here we are in the lunchroom, and I remember the first veteran that came through was Mel Blount.
Oh, he lives out here, right? Doesn't he? Is he
No,
from Cave Creek? I thought he was a cowboy out here. Yeah.
He has a golf tournament
Okay.
out in Cave Creek about every other year or
But
something.
he's like a cowboy. Do you have a cowboy hat
Well,
on?
he wears a
boots?
cowboy hat.
Yeah, He's country.
He's from Alabama, yeah.
Yeah.
And but he was the first guy through the door. Big, had a bucket hat on, and you looked at him, and he played cornerback, and it was 6'3", 215, 220 maybe. And, they changed. He was the Mel Blount rule is the bump and run rule. They had to change the rules because a receiver couldn't get off the line of scrimmage.
Wow, he just manhandled him.
Yeah, so
Wow.
Mel Blount, and then Joe Green and Jack Lambert, and then Lynn Swan and Stallworth come through the door. Then Mike Webster. There's 11 Hall of Famers that I was lucky enough to play with. So it was really something.
Was it as a rookie in that defensive room? What was that like?
It was interesting. The players had a lot of input. Locker room at halftime, the first game, Woody Woodenhofer came in and he's trying to diagram this play that they were beating us on, and Lambert's like, no, Woody.
Wait, he's smoking?
He's smoking his cigarette. He's like, no, Woody, that guy blocked down. He didn't come right. He blocked down, and this guy went this way. No, that's not right. This is another hit of the cigarette, and it
Was he the only one, or was that like?
Oh no, there was a few people.
Wow.
So yeah, smoking in the locker room at halftime.
So you played till 85? Is that right?
85 was my last year.
Was that way in 85 still? It seems like that might have been. Was it really?
When Jack Lambert wanted to have a cigarette, he'd have a cigarette.
Wow.
So
that's incredible. And that's just old school. I think I remember was it the Raiders game where he was quoted as saying, after you lost to the Raiders in the playoffs, just saying, I just want a 6-pack and I want to go out and play the game again. Does that sound about right?
Maybe, yeah. That could have come from, as long as it was Michelob at the time.
Oh, right. Well, that was probably a sponsorship. But how did ASU prepare you for walking into that Steelers locker room?
You were prepared. You've already seen it all at ASU. Players would get hurt. Frank's famous moved the ball up 5 yards, and we just kept right on going. We hit. We prepared. We had a little playbook that we'd look at, and we'd get tested on it. So, and if you didn't know an answer, God help you.
What were some of the? Are you at liberty to discuss? The statute of limitations has run out. Like, you're not going to have to run.
What, like the playbook?
Yeah, if you didn't know the playbook. What was
our
the
defensive
punishment?
playbook. A new one came out every week, and it was the first thing. SC. Player to stop, Charles White. Second player to
Heisman
stop,
Trophy winner,
Paul McDonald.
Another NFL player.
Yeah, it went through. Had diagrams of other plays with SC.
And watch out for the guy Lynn Swan over the top. Yeah.
Well, Swan wasn't there.
Oh, he was okay.
They had Calvin Sweeney, who actually played with me later with the Steelers. Was there.
Wow.
But they diagrammed their plays, which there wasn't many.
Yeah.
Because SC basically said, this is what we're going to do. Try to stop us.
And I wonder, like with football now, there's so many coaches, and there's just so much. It just seems like there's just much ado about everything. And Joe, Sun Devil Joe, our producer, big Niners fan, and he talks about Kyle Shanahan just kind of doing the basics, but kind of moving everything around. In your opinion, when you watch football today, does it still come down to blocking and tackling?
Oh yeah, it always does. Whoever runs harder, tackles better. You're in the right place when you're supposed to be. It's the fundamentals always win. That's the basics.
Do you think that football players need to hit more in practice? Like injury-wise, what did it look like at the end of the year for y'all?
We didn't a lot of people, we didn't have a lot of injuries,
especially the soft tissue stuff. That's what I wonder about. It seems like there's always soft tissue injuries.
Well, I remember
I'm not a doctor. I don't.
A training camp with the Steelers and up at Tonazona, it was brutal. I mean, you were sore. So, and it's a funny story. I don't know if we got time.
Well, we got this a podcast, so I could talk to you all day.
Camp Tonazona actually came about because of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Really?
Yes. Back, I think 1940, or somewhere around there, Johnstown, southwest Pennsylvania had a big flood. So Art Rooney, and in true Art Rooney fashion, built a football camp in that area to help the area get back on its feet. And so he'd have their training camp there. And after 3 or 4 years, the area got back on its feet, and they left. And he left the camp to, the local area there. So the local high schools took advantage of it. And one of them was Windberg High School, where Frank Kush went to school.
Wow.
And, of course, Frank, I don't know if you know much about his background, but, he shared a bed. Not a room, but a bed with brothers.
Wow.
So he went
that's why he was so tough.
Yeah, he went to this football camp.
Met him a couple times. Just so tough.
Yeah.
Even in his old age, he wasn't taking anything.
So he went to this camp, and it was like, had my own bed. 3 meals a day.
That's great.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
So he was fishing up at Dr. Gamage. I'm not sure what his first name was back then, but he was the president of the university. His cabin along Tonto Creek, and he saw a big area there. So he went up to the freeway, and guys were doing highway work up there, and he brought a guy down and says, "Hey, you think you can carve out a football field here?" And the guy goes, "Yeah, absolutely, Frank." So he went to Dr. Gamage and said, "Hey, Doctor, we got this area we can make into a camp." And, of course, Dr. Gammage's like, "Frank, we don't got any money." Frank said, "That's okay." So he got the highway crew to come down, level out a thing, found someone to give him a bunch of grass seed. I think they had to drive to New Mexico to get it. So they got his assistant coach is throwing grass seed on the field.
No way.
Mrs. Gammon shows up. What the heck is going on? Well, we got permission, and I don't know how.
It was Dr. Gamage's land?
Yes. Yeah. It was right where his cabin was, where the coaches stay to this day, I think.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if I'd have liked to have been on that conversation with Dr. Gamage and his wife, but that's how Camp Tonazona came about.
Wow. What did nutrition look like back then?
Oh, we ate well. We had the cafeteria there, and we ate a lot. But I think, I thought I ate well. I mean, you had scrambled eggs and bacon and sausage, and you had sandwiches and hamburgers and stuff for lunch. You had good dinner. So, yeah, nutrition was fine.
What was your weight at when you played? What was an average
I came to ASU probably at about 210 pounds.
Wow.
And I think the heaviest, I played defensive end one year for the Steelers. Now it's about 240, 245.
What do you think when you see these guys now?
Oh, I tell people 4 years at ASU, 6 years with the Steelers. I know we never had a 300-pounder with the Steelers, and we never had a 300-pounder with
Not
ASU.
even Joe Green?
No, Joe was 275.
Was he really?
Yeah.
And that's like
Anthony Munoz, kind of my nemesis. I went head up with him against that SC game.
Oh yeah.
And
Hall of Famer, right?
And 6 years with Cincinnati, 275.
Anthony Munoz, the
Munoz.
premier offensive lineman of the 80s.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I don't think I even faced many 300-pounders as a defensive end. Maybe Henry Lawrence from the Raiders was.
Well, now over at Brophy, our alma mater, those kids are pushing 300 as juniors in high school. It's wild.
It's when I go to a game, I'll go down on the field and you see the kids come running out, and you're like, good Lord. Where are they feeding them? Where do they find these kids? So yeah, it's pretty amazing, and they could move. And I was watching an Alabama game, and some running back scores a touchdown. And they're like, God, he's 244 pounds, and I see this offensive lineman run up to him and lift him up and throw him in the air, and I'm like, oh my God, that guy weighs 200. How big is that tackle? I looked up the offensive line for Alabama. The guy's 6'7", 365. And I'm like, good God.
Wow.
Where do they find equipment for him?
Right. Well, they could probably with supplements get you close to that these days.
Well,
What's the one moment for you the games, if we had like a time machine, if we could just put you on and you could just lace up your cleats one more time and walk out there in the middle of the third quarter and just
I'd like to play USC again for that first time. We should have shut them out. We had them shut out. They scored with 33 seconds left. We had a guy come and hit a receiver over the middle of the field and then wrap up, and he went 50 yards for a score with 33 seconds left. They scored their only points. So, I heard someone say that, we would only win 1 out of 10 games if we played them again. And I dispute that. We'd have won them all.
Have you talked to like Munoz or anyone?
Yeah. And they all remember it. Munoz, Calvin Sweeney, who I played with in Pittsburgh. Oh yeah, they all remember it. And I'll tell you who remembers it, and he did probably to the day he passed away, was John Robinson. He would never, ever speak to Larry Quintera, who was our defensive coordinator and drew up our game plan for that play. He would talk to any of the other ASU coaches, but whenever he see Larry, he'd turn around and walk the other way.
What was the game plan?
Stop Charles White. They had a tight end who was supposed to be the premier tight end in the country, James McDonald, who, the funny thing is, he was drafted by the Steelers the year after I was. But they ran to his side. So we put Al Harris. Wherever he came out of the huddle, he followed James McDonald. And, of course, wherever Anthony Munoz played quick tackle at the time, he was always on the weak side. So whenever he came out, I had to go to his side. So I don't know who got the better deal out of that. But Al just destroyed James McDonald. The very first, we knew after our Monday meeting we were going to beat SC.
Really?
We knew it.
As physical as they were and as much as they lined up.
Didn't matter. We were pretty physical too. We had our strong safety, Darryl Gill, weighed about 230 pounds. And he could, we had a lot of guys that could hit.
And how much of that is a mentality? There's the physical side of it, but how much is it just
there's a lot of that. If you don't think you're going to win, you're not going to win. And it was funny. Someone asked me about ASU playing Iowa State, in the championship. They're like, God, do you really think we can beat Iowa State? I'm like, Iowa State? What the heck is that? I didn't even know they were a school. Come on, Iowa State? Of course we can beat Iowa State. And I thought then, I'm like, God, I don't think I ever went into a game thinking we were going to lose, ever. And you got to have that mentality, or else you're defeated before you even get started.
How would Scattaboo have fit in with those teams?
He'd have fit in well. He's a baller, for crying out loud. He loved it. He always had a smile on his face, and he was always woo-hooing, and he'd have fit right in. Yeah, he'd have got a little bit more competition during the week. He'd have been hit and.
No green jersey for him?
No green jersey, no. But, no, he'd have fit in. He's a Sun Devil, no doubt about it. He's a devil.
When you saw him last year in the college playoff and Sam Levitt, and it was a shame Jordan Tyson couldn't play, but when you saw ASU get back to that stage, what kind of went through your heart, your mind, your soul? It's
where they should be. They should be competing for national championships every year. I think they should win every game. And if they don't think that, then, they're not devils.
What about with Kenny and Frank Kush? Are there any comparisons? Do you see anything there?
Well, I remember a lot of people would call me and they're like, God, why did we hire such a, he's a kid, he's only 32 years old or something like that. And I'm like, well, I think we had a coach they hired when he was 28 named Frank Kush. He didn't turn out too bad. So, no, the age thing never bothered me. And I like the fact that, he's a hometown guy. And I think he's doing the right things. It sure looks like he's doing the right thing. But college football, I don't understand anymore. Even if I had $1 gazillion, I don't know if I can give a few $1 million to a kid.
Right.
Hey, well, if I did, I'd find well, I shouldn't say that. But yeah, and I wonder, these kids, they have to pay taxes on this money too, right? So do they have to have financial advisors now? That's
all part of the education. At least now it's on the up and up.
Yeah.
At least we're getting some tax revenue now.
I could tell a story back in the old days before I got there, but I think Frank swore us to secrecy. So
the statute of limitations is right.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
all right, that's okay. We'll leave that for the Legends Luncheon. How about that?
Well, I don't.
Leave me with this. When you get together with all of these guys, what is it like being a Sun Devil and being around members, other fellow legends?
It's an exciting time. You know, you get to relive the past. You get to talk about what you're doing now. But most of it's, we talk about Frank and what we went through at ASU and the good times, the bad times. There weren't too many bad times, though, other than Camp Tonazona, because that was tough on everyone. But we did manage to, find a little bit of fun. There's some stories up on camp, bears being thrown into someone's locker or into someone's bunks.
Who went and got a bear?
Bugs.
Someone went and got a bear and brought.
It was before my time, and they found a little baby bear and they threw it in a.
Well, there's a mama bear that's going to come running. Oh my goodness!
So yeah, there's all sorts of interesting stories about how to have some sort of fun up at Tonazona, because the majority of the time, you were sore and you were just trying to get through it. But, the shenanigans had to happen, I think, just to help you get through that.
Right. What do you think Frank would say about what's going on right now at ASU?
He wouldn't understand it. Yeah, I don't think so. Like I said, I don't get it.
Well, NIL is kind of the new grass seed and getting the road crew to come down. It's like the same concept. You just got to work through it, right?
I guess so. Oh man.
And finally, Sam Levitt, does he remind you of anybody the way he plays?
Yeah, a little bit like Jake Plummer. He's a guy that just finds ways to get things done. You think we're counted out, and all of a sudden there's Sam, and he's either running or throwing or doing something to help us win ball games, and that's what it's all about. You do what you can, and he seems to find a way.
All right, well, so more stories like this November 14th. It is the Legends Luncheon. You will be out there, and who are you looking forward to seeing? Who are you looking forward to talking to?
I always look forward to seeing Steve Matlock, because he's always there. Bobby Brunig. I'd like to see Mark Malone show up, because he lives in the Valley now. There's all of them. There's some great players. Some I hadn't seen in a while. I went to the Hall of Fame luncheon a week or so ago, and the 75 team was inducted into the Hall of Fame, the entire team, and that was the year before I got there. So I knew a majority of those guys, and it was just fun seeing them all. And I know they were excited. They finally got a big ring, and the ring was really something too. So. But they well-deserved, great team. It's just a great bunch of guys. And they did the things that they needed to do to win games, because they won every one of them. Should have been the national champion. They beat Nebraska in the Fiesta Bowl, and the national champion was eventually Oklahoma, who was beaten by Nebraska earlier in that year. But I think they won their bowl game against Notre Dame or someone. But I think ASU was ranked 1 in one poll and 2 in all the others. But they deserve that number 1 rank.
We got to go find the tape.
That was a special team. Special team. They had a group of seniors on that team that were phenomenal, and just all the role players. Every one of them could play.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to more stories like this at the Legend Luncheon. Thanks for coming in.
Hear 'em?
Yeah, I could talk to you all day.
Okay. All right, Mark. Thanks.
This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.